Hey guys, welcome to the next edition of Hollywood Hills. This week, catching up on the third round of the National Off-Road Championship coming into the Gauteng 400. Now, normally, as we've been saying, the last couple of seasons, the midway marker has been a doubleheader held at the Botswana 1000. This time around, no desert, which changes up the championship. We knew it was going to change up how the approach for Ross and Kenny and how that was going to play out. We will get to that just now, but let's talk about the event and run through what went down. So right bang in the middle of winter, freezing cold conditions, going to be Dust Bowl, and it was. The track had already been raced the week before by the cars, and parts that didn't work for the cars, the mud bogs, had been trimmed out as well. So it was supposed to be a 90, became just over a 50 kilometer, I think between 50 and 55 kilometers per loop. So the 55 kilometer loop was laid out for the time trial, and everyone went out there banging. Very good numbers coming in as well, and Kenny was the first to strike. He put 16 seconds into Lawrence Mahoney and knocked Branch all the way down. I think he was like 6th or 7th. Didn't have a good qualifier. Also, not a good qualifier coming out of Dart. But we'll get to the key players in just a moment. Let's break down the categories, starting things out with our high schoolers. The high schooler 125 gate, it's Dav Cocker's show at the moment. He really is charging at the front of this pack. Seems like he doesn't have a fault. He can ride sand, dust. He can ride hard pack, soft pack, loam. He's got it down. So the high school gate, everyone is really chasing this kid down at the moment. It's a very, very good run coming in from Storm. So Storm gets a number 3. So that's going to help him out in his championship chase. The big bouncer this time around was Matty Wilson. He moves up now into number 2. And that's going to help his charge for the championship. But Dav Cocker, round number 3, another win. He just extends off the front. It's going to be very hard to beat him. Former Mr. 125, Ryan Peltzer, a distant 4th place this time around. Did not enjoy the dust one bit. I think this is where we're going to see him start make his decision to go into either stay off-road or go into full-time enduro. But I tell you what, the top 5 in high school at the moment is very strong, but it was Dav Cocker with the big win. In the OR3s, one man at the top, that's Brad Cox. He's gone 3 for 3. He's got a perfect season running at the moment. He is out-qualifying everyone, out-racing everyone. Not just that, winning category, but also chasing down big numbers. He qualified top 6 overall. That's absolutely massive. And you talk about the fact that he's just on a small 250. That is absolutely stellar riding. Hayden Cole was the second fastest rider this time around, with Stefan van Deventer in 3rd place. And that category definitely comes down to who qualifies the best. But it's Cox, who is large and in charge, and he is just staring down the barrel of that big number 1 plate. With no desert to double score, but more importantly, no desert to double lose, because we've seen a lot of guys lose their championships. Brett Swanepoel a couple of years back on the Yamaha did just that when he blew up his bike, lost his chance of the championship chase. This time around, it's pretty flatland racing the whole way through the season. So next one is going to be, I think it's in about a month and a half's time in Bloemfontein. OR3s, Brad Cox staring down the barrel of his first national number 1 plate. OR2s, one of the most stacked gates in 2019 that anyone has ever seen. Absolutely terrifying and tough to call. On the season, it's been Gareth Cole, who's gone 2 for 2 at the moment, winning KZN, winning Cape Town, coming to this round. He was a strong bet to go 3 for 3, but the brawler came out swinging and banging. He went fastest on the prologue in the time trial, and he went fastest in the race. He actually was running top 3 overall for a very long time, crossed the stripe 4th wheel overall, first in OR2s. That's going to give him some good points to try and climb his way up. The red plate, though, stays. The championship points lead stays with Gareth Cole. He comes in on a 2, so he's gone 1-1-2. His numbers are strong before he goes into Bloemfontein. 3rd place was Jazz Kutsia, and he was very quiet the whole way through the day. Maybe just not the terrain that didn't suit him down to the ground. 3rd place, though, keeps him in points, keeps him on for a podium prediction come the end of the season. Now we move forward into the big bangers. Big banger categories, OR1s. Now, Kenny Gilbert has been absolutely flying at the moment. So we'll remind ourselves what happened at KZN round number 1. The Extreme Enduro riders made a lot of off-road superstars blush because it was Wade Young and Double T Travis Teasdale that went 1 and 2. The best of the pure off-roads down at KZN was Kenny, followed by Lawrence, followed by Ross. So really, those guys lost a lot of points on the first event. Then rolled down to Cape Town, the Koa Bokkeveld, pure downhill. No enduro superstars lined up for that one. Kenny got the win. Ross had a very rare mechanical, dropping him down to 6th place. So he's in big trouble at the moment as far as the championships points go, and he needed a good round here. Lawrence has been the most consistent, besides Kenny, the most consistent rider on the tour. So what went down here? Well, it was Kenny that went fastest on the time trial, as we've said. Ross had a bit of a nightmare. Lawrence was good on the time trial as well. He was just 16 seconds off the back wheel of Kenny, which meant those two were going to be able to run the numbers in the early stages, and that's what went down. A little bit of chaos on the start line, though. Looked like the COC and the start officials didn't get the timing right for sending the guys out, which meant Ross was actually held back. In a way, it looked like it gave him an advantage because he had a big dust gap. And in fact, on laps 1, 2, and 3 of a 6-lap race format, Ross went fastest, meaning by the time they came into the halfway marker, on corrected time, Ross Branch was actually in the lead. Kenny reacted late on in the race on laps 4 and 5 to try and pull back some kind of advantage, but going onto the final lap, Ross actually had a 7-second advantage. So Kenny had to give it everything, as did Ross. What happened? Well, it was Kenny that took the flag. We knew that as well because he was out on the front and Ross was actually leading the race but coming through the pack from the back with a corrected time. Lawrence was in second place on the road, but he was going to go on to record a third-place finish. Ross, unfortunately, with about 30 Ks into the lap, collapsed the Moose. He was pushing the hardest of any rider out there, and his laps were absolutely impeccable. The tyre let go, though, and that cost him the win. Didn't drop down to third, did a good enough job to get second place. So it went Kenny, Ross, Lawrence. That's a big story in the championship because now that is an extension on the championship for Kenny Gilbert as he heads into round number 4. He's in good shape for the second half of the season. For our age group categories, the Masters. This was always going to be the big show once again. Farmer said he couldn't get his fueling strategy down in Cape Town. And that gave the win to Faan van Deventer. Remember, Peter Hall didn't go down to Cape Town. This time around, all the 3 key players were in the mix. It was Farmer that out-qualified his closest championship rival at the moment, which is Faan van Deventer, and Peter Hall down in third. But the gaps between them were all over the place. So they actually didn't see each other that much the whole way through the day. Farmer did a good enough job to get his win going, so that's going to put him in a very good position going into Bloemfontein. Faan was in second place, so still don't count Faan van Deventer out, still a championship player, and third place for Peter Hall will bring him back into the mix. But remember, for the Nationals, no throwaways means it's quite brutal. But a win for Farmer will make him happy once again. For the senior gate, it's been the Bolie van Rooyen show. He's now gone 3 for 3. So he won KZN, he won Cape Town, and he won on the Flatlands. But Wade Blau is that close behind him at the moment. So any wrong step now going forward into the second half of the season, and Blau is going to be able to pounce. Henty Honeycomb was very strong in third place. In fact, it looked like he may have a chance of a win. The seniors were grouped within 30 seconds of each other. The whole way through the day, Henty just ran out of grip on the back tyre. He literally started the last lap with 0 grip on his tyre, and he knew that was the end of it. So it went. Bolie, he's gone 3 for 3. Blau, he's gone 2 for 3. In other words, he's gone second place 3 times in a row. And Henty Honeycomb goes third. So it was a little bit of a wild one, as you can see, that, and I'm terrified going into Bloemfontein as well, because that's going to be smack bang in the middle of winter, dust bowl racing, freezing cold, like we used to race in Harrismith. The guys are going to go out on a time trial with 3 pairs of gloves on, 4 pairs of goggles, and a couple of pairs of undies as well to keep the very special parts warm. But I tell you what, it's going to be freezing dust bowl racing, taking us through the rest of winter. It's going to be wild. Let's check out what happened with our friends at Black Iron Racing here at the Benoni/Boksburg Gauteng 400. Vian du Plessis did a great job. He actually was on for a top 5 finish. Got the jobs done. I've been telling him he's good enough for a top 5. He brought it home once again. Not the best qualifier, but very strong, steady, solid throughout the day. So he brings home a number 5 finish in the seniors. That helps out his championship chase. Karika was out there racing in the OR2s. She top 10'd it once again. Unfortunately, bike problems for Janka this time around. Janka and Karika both raced the MX National the week before as well, and they did good numbers. A 4th place finish for Janka, an 8th place finish for Karika. The Petersen sisters are smashing air miles and lap times every single weekend. So good riding for our Black Iron pair, and watch out for next week as it's going to be McAlpine and Clayton who go out and see what they can do in the next event on the calendar for them at the Lowveld Enduros. We'll talk about that in a second. Then across to our friends over at 421. Remember, there's been a lot of mechanicals and crashes coming out of one of the most consistent quad lineups we have seen in the last couple of years. It was Ventersdorp this time around and the Totpack 200 where everyone rolled up the hill. This time around though, nice results. The standard option win coming in for Gideon Jacobs. It was nice second and third place coming in for Lawrence and Skalk Pretorius, the support riders on the team, and then a Masters win for Brian Herbst, a ladies win for Marty Backfisher, and a third place coming in for Jess Herbst. So it looks like the bad luck may be over for 421 as they get themselves ready for the next big one on their calendar, and that is going to be, a lot of them will go up to Ottosdal for the next round of the Africa Off-Roads, and then we hold our breath for this about halfway through July for the next round of the GXCCs. 424 also went down this weekend, and that was their third round of the championship. The first two rounds showed good growth and improvement. This time around, though, very small rider entry, and unfortunately, looks like it just landed on that kind of a goof weekend. There was a national off-road. It was a really, really cold, wintry one, and we are coming up to the halfway knuckle of the season where everyone's starting to count their pennies as well. So sorry for John and all the guys up there at 424, and sorry I missed the event as well, but small numbers. Hopefully we can bring that around. There's around about a month and a half to 2 month gap before we go racing with the 424 guys once again. That's the 31st of August. So hopefully you guys can put that in your calendar and make sure that we can keep this very strong race up and running. They really need your support, so hopefully we can get the guys up there. But from what I can see, still looked like an absolutely fun, well-organized race, so well done to those guys. So what's coming up in the rest of the racing month of June? A lot of gaps, and I'll explain that one as well. Historically, the motorsport season has seen June as their off month. Give the riders a bit of a chance to regroup, get their bikes back together, get their bodies back together, get their wallets back together as well. So it's a little bit wild. So the next weekend, the 8th, that's going to be a double header. So you've got the Ottosdal 200 up in the northwest. We'll see a lot of the riders going up there just to keep themselves sharp. 421 will go up there for sure and try and nail down all their championships and wins in the quads. And we'll also see some good entries from the cars and the bikes. It's a very well-supported event as part of the Off-Road Africa Championship. Then on the same weekend, it's the next round of the Lowveld Enduro Club, the Hazy View. So Hazy View is always a one to watch out for. Everyone loves going up there, and winter in the Lowveld is just prime. It's been very, very tough conditions, very hot conditions throughout the season. This will be a little bit of a cooler one for the rock hoppers as they go on up there. Then at the end of the month, it's the next round of Farm Jam. That's going to be round number 3. I'll be up there and be able to report back to you guys. But a bit of a gap in the middle. I'll still be busy as well because I'll be going up to the Botswana Desert 1000. And for the first time ever, as far as I'm concerned, no national bikes and quads up there. There is a bike and quad invitational category, and we'll no doubt see the bots riders at there. But predominantly, I'm just up there for the cars, which is going to feel pretty weird. So watch out for a little bit of a gap in the middle of the month for Hollywood Hills, and then we'll come back to you guys at the end of the month. So a bit of a big one this time around. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be bringing you all the action from next weekend, and that's going to be from Ottosdal and from the Lowveld. And then we'll take a little bit of a breather in the middle of the month before we report back on Farm Jam round number 3. Cheers, guys.